gentlemen, boys and girls, it is about that time. Keep your hands up and keep your head on a swivel. The Haymakers and Submissions podcast is here. We woke up and chose violence today. Stick and stay for combat sports talk at its finest, coming your way now. Welcome everybody to the Haymakers and Submissions podcast. My name is Drew. He's Chops, and we're talking all things combat sports. Chops, we got a big fight weekend to review. Well, it should have been a big fight weekend. We'll talk about that in detail, and then we've got a fight to preview coming up here. But how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, it's always good to be a national champion, Chops. It's very good to be a national.
I see you repping the Michigan right there. I see you. I see you. I see you repping them. I was at the supermarket today, and this guy had on a hoodie. It said Detroit. And it said born and raised. It almost looked like the way it was written in calligraphy and whatever. It was like, I wanted to ask, man, did you have that like custom made? It wasn't something that they made in mass. It was pretty nice. I'm not going to lie. And the crazy part was it was a black hoodie and Detroit was written in white, but it also had some gold on it, whatever have you. And that's what it caught my attention, the black and gold. But when it said Detroit born and bred, and I was like, what? But it was pretty nice, man. I thought about you because you're always repping your boys. You're always repping Detroit, Jack.
Got to. I see these, Detroit versus everybody's a thing. And I saw a shirt. I actually saw a New York versus everybody shirt. I said, you got to be shitting me. I said, who's against New York? And oh, by the way, who could overtake New York?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. We got little man syndrome here. We got the chip on our shoulder here perpetually.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Detroit's always been. Yeah, it's all for some reason there has always been. Like Pittsburgh is grimy and a fighter town. So is Detroit. It just, you know what I mean. The motor, you're just blue collar. It is, man. Yeah, come to Detroit. It's going down. It is going down.
Downtown's really nice though. People, if you ever go on YouTube and check out some videos of after you check out the Haymakers and Submissions podcast of the SEN network, then you can go check out some Detroit videos and it's cool. There's a lot of cool stuff to do downtown. So, but we're talking.
Now, how far are you? How far are you from the Joe Louis Fist?
Oh, like 30 minutes.
I got you. Do you go downtown often, or you try to avoid it because of the traffic and all the people?
No, it's not. You can walk anywhere downtown, and it's not even on a game night or a concert night or whatever. It's still very pedestrian friendly. I mean, it's not overcrowded by any means. I mean, it looks desolate compared to other downtowns in some ways, but to me, it's like, wow, this is as vibrant as I've ever seen it. Because back then, it was just folks were around the stadium and tailgating and really nowhere else. It just was one of those things. Just wasn't a lot to do, but now there's a lot to do down there. So it's pretty cool.
I got you. Okay.
So I'm inviting you to take a trip to Detroit.
Detroit, I got you. Spice it up a little bit.
Yeah, or as in Canada they call it Detroit. But here we're talking boxing. We're talking Ring Magazine weekend fight reviews and Chops. Man, we had so much. I know we got a lot to talk about. I mean, I was so excited about this, and so were
everyone was. Everyone
boxing
was super duper excited.
So based on that, there was a lot of letdowns. But I wouldn't say every fight was a lemon, so to speak. And there were some good fights there. And we're going to talk about those, but let's just jump into it here. Let's talk about the Friday Times Square card, the top 3 fights on that card. We previewed those. We're going to review them now. We're going to start out with Teofimo Lopez and Arnold Barboza Jr.
Well, before we get into the actual fights, I want to talk about some things.
Okay.
It was labeled Fatal Fury.
Yes, it was.
And as like you, every fight fan was hyped for this card. Every fight fan was hyped for this card. And as we spoke on our last pod, we said every fighter in these 3 main all 6 of those guys had something to prove and something to lose, basically, right?
Yeah.
So Fatal Fury, now looking back, could not have been labeled any better because it was fatal. I don't want to say fatal, but it's potentially fatal for some of these guys, the way they performed. Also, I'm doing a little bit of just research and reading and whatever have you. Okay, so we knew it was down in Times Square. Okay, I'll be honest with you. This just shows my ignorance. I didn't realize it was going to be Times Square right on the street.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that, right? I didn't realize that. Or, when they have the Times Square and they drop the ball for New Year's Eve, they shut off some of that. But that's a major holiday. Boxing, not everybody's into boxing. So now, mind you, it sounded like a great, great, great idea to do this. Because when we talked about it, how even during COVID, Dana took things elsewhere and had guys in the bubble. So they were going to, I figured him and now Turk becoming buddies, becoming friends, having their boxing league. Turk, he has access to Turk's money and mindset in boxing. Turk has access to his mind on how do we set ourselves aside in boxing and venues. And that was a great venue. In theory, Times Square.
Yeah.
However, okay, first off, the atmosphere seemed dead when you were listening to the fight. It wasn't loud. It wasn't hype, right? It wasn't hype because it wasn't enclosed. It wasn't enclosed in a Coliseum, a building. It wasn't that. That's number one. Number two, very few people there. But because of the ordinance, they showed a lot of people standing around, just like they do for New Year's Eve. But those people New Year's Eve, they could at least see the people performing, right?
Yeah.
They couldn't see the boxers outside because they had big walls and tarps up because of the ordinance, because it's right at Times Square. Traffic is still moving. They couldn't have a jumbo screen up because people driving, if you're looking rubbernecking, you could run into something. You definitely can't have the people outside be able to see the fights because, again, somebody driving could cause an accident. So now I'm looking back, and it seemed like a great idea in theory, but once it was put in practice, I don't think anybody else will do that again. Now, if they'd have moved it to Madison Square Garden, something like that, but that to me just wasn't the venue was right. It just didn't feel right. Then you got them pulling up in cars. Ryan Garcia comes up in a Batmobile, and it just, that to me, just the guys didn't do their due diligence on the ordinance. Because if you'd have known, and maybe they did, I don't understand how they felt that was going to be okay. Because I would have wanted the more eyes on that, the better. Yeah. Even to, you know what I'm saying? And on that aspect, I would have thought you'd have realized the ordinance and realized we can't put a jumbotron up, a jumbo screen. We can't have a tarp for anybody on the outside to see. They're just going to be standing around basically like a bunch of schmucks. And I didn't, that to me, outside of the ring was a huge negative. It was a tarp, and then I read where a lot of the sports, the writers weren't even ringside because it was like a VIP section. So they had them a block or two away in like the Hard Rock in another cafe, in another building. And I'm like, you don't even have the boxing writers there. I just think that was a big miss. But maybe it was planned like that because they knew everything else can't have the jumbos going, got to have a tarp up. Maybe they didn't want the writers to write about it. I don't know. I just thought that was a faux pas. I thought they could have done better than that. And I say they, Turk and his team. I thought they could have done better on that. But all right, man, let's get to it. Let's get in the ring. I just want to put that out there.
Oh yeah, it reminded me of watching events during COVID. Very quiet.
Yes, and like you watch enough sports to realize home field advantage means a lot. In boxing, sometimes we're fighting hometown, sometimes not. But every fighter, good or bad, can feed off the crowd. You know what I'm saying? Every fighter, every sports team, organization, they feed off crowds. You know what I mean? And that to me, even in golf, they want them to be quiet because if they're yelling, that'll affect the golfer. So and I just thought it was dead silence. You don't want dead silence to where you can almost hear a pin drop, in a combat sport. It was quiet. You could hear a church mouse licking cotton. It was so quiet.
Yeah,
that was a big miss for me. I noticed that during a Timo fight.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely. I didn't like the lack of people. I mean, I get it's a smaller venue, I get it, but there was maybe 300 seats out there, and of the 300 people, I mean, how many were actually watching the fights? Even Turkey was just talking to people during.
Yes, I just don't get that, because you've seen guys do concerts, and I'm going to stadium. I'm not going to a ring. I'm going to stadium. The more people you can get, the better. Yeah. I don't understand why they didn't do that. And honestly, leading up to it, I would have liked to have seen if were the Jets at Giant Stadium, Jet Stadium, Yankee Stadium, New York Met Stadium. You know, the football stadiums were open. You could have held that. You could have held that there and at least got more people in, because leading up to it, the card alone was drawing attention. It really was. It really was.
Good idea, but yeah, I think it missed the mark.
Yeah, it was a great idea, but
definitely worth a shot. I enjoyed watching it on TV, but I didn't enjoy all of the fights. So we'll put it that way. Well, let's talk about this Lopez Barboza fight. Your thoughts on this one, Chops? I mean, we both thought Lopez would win this one, and he did.
I did. Yes, but I thought Barboza was going to be more, just more. He didn't throw much. He wasn't aggressive. Believe it or not, man, Timo had performance of the night, and you can't even say fight of the night because it wasn't a great fight, but he had performance of the night. And if anyone's stock went up, I'd say his would be the only one. His would be the only one. You know what I mean? So I give him that. I give him credit. He did what he wanted to do. He even tried playing to the small crowd that was there, dancing and moving and shaking. You know what I mean? Off this jab, was aggressive when he wanted to be. Didn't really take much of a risk. You know what I mean? Didn't try to get Barboza out of there. But that all I can say, man, Timo was the best fighter. He had the best performance of the night. That's all I got.
It was a lopsided fight. I think I gave Barboza 2 rounds, and I think I might have been. Oh, I think I gave him 3 rounds. I might have been generous with it. But it still was an entertaining fight. I did enjoy watching it. I agree with you. I thought Barboza was going to do more, and he didn't. But it was at least an active fight, and Lopez was doing his thing. So, I mean, I think he helped himself, no question about it, like you said. And I think he helped himself more than anybody, at least in terms of the favorites.
Yeah. And now, okay, two things. I thought it was an interesting fight first 5 to 7 rounds. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that, even though if you want to go 7, Lopez won the first 6, you know what I mean, or 5 or whatever, if you wanted to give Barboza one. But I was holding on, thinking that it was a good fight, because I thought Barboza was going to turn it on and become the fighter, win or lose, go out on your shield, be the aggressive guy we thought you could be, bring it up your volume, whatever have you. He didn't do that. So after about 8 rounds, like the last 3 to 4 rounds, I was pretty much checked out, because I knew Barboza wasn't there. It wasn't going to get any better.
Yeah, that's I understand that. How quickly did you check out on this one, Chops? Devin, Haney.
Well, hold on. Before we move on this one, okay. You saw Tio. He called out your boy. He called out Ennis. He called out Boots. Now, that will be interesting, because, again, you never know what Teofimo you're getting. He hasn't looked this good since what? Probably Lomo?
No doubt.
You know what I mean? Since Lomo. And we know your boy Boots is going to bring it. The only problem with Boots is from people saying he gets hits too much. Well, you do realize he's got belt. Everybody that's fighting Ennis is bringing their best game. So, yes, he's going to get hit. That's boxing. That is boxing. You know, a lot of people say, well, he gets hit more than I like. He's going against guys that are literally fighting their best that night, because they know they might not get a chance. So, to me, it is what it is. But I'm interested to see how that plays out, because he has to. If he gets another fight, and I'm not saying Boots would be next, but it would have to be in the next 2 or 3 fights. Have to be, if he's calling Boots out, right? And it very well easy, because he didn't take much punishment. Boots' last fight was what? He finished over in 4, 6 rounds? Mm-hmm. You know, so having said that, they very well let Lopez chill for a good week or two, maybe 3 weeks, and they could very well get in the and start talking within the next calendar month about setting something up for the end of the year. That it really could be done. I don't know if it will be, but it could be. And I'd like to see, can Teofimo put two performances like that together? Because Boots is coming. Boots is coming. And to be honest with you, Teofimo had shine on him. And we always thought he was going to be that guy. But after some fights, he just never became that guy.
Yeah.
So we'll see, man. I'm interested in when he called out Boots. I'm like, okay, does he mean that or is he feeling himself? Because he, in the moment, he was talking a lot of trash, craziness, even leading up to that fight, with the other guys that he wasn't even fighting.
He wants a fight with any name.
Yeah.
And I totally understand that. He
absolutely
doesn't, as long as it's a name, he wants to be on the undercard of the Canelo Bud fight.
I know. Oh, that would be a good one. And Turk is putting that one on, right? Turk is putting that one. Yeah, Turk could make that happen. Turk could very well make that happen.
That would be fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right, let's get to the snooze fest, and it was Devin Haney over Jose Ramirez in a unanimous decision, 12 rounds. Tops, your take on Haney's performance?
Okay. Got to go back. There was a movie, cult classic, Bruce Leroy, The Last Dragon. Right? It was the last. Okay, from the back. Okay. Remember the one guy said, "I have mastered the art of fighting without actually knowing how to fight, and I looked the part that I would ever have you." And that's what I thought about Devin, because when I'm telling you, there's a difference between boxing, moving, shuffling, getting angles, and then there's running. He ran. He was just running. He popped the jab when he wanted to, whatever have you. And I understand Ramirez is getting older. You know what I mean? So, and here's the thing. The footwork, the speed of Haney, that was all there. Physically, he had everything. But Drew, man, that knockout, that beating he took from Garcia, regardless if it was PED enhanced or not. And as much as they can void that fight, number one, we as the fans don't forget what we saw.
No.
Number two, mentally, Devin Haney, and a lot of times a fighter, because we've all seen the older guys, we're growing up. Can he ever recover from that? Will he ever recover from that? Whatever. I don't know. And here's the thing. We do realize in sparring, everything is calculated. Everything is measured. Everything is whatever have you. It's not scripted, but we're only going 80%. We're only doing this. We're working on this today. This was his first real true live action and with no headgear. I don't know. I wouldn't think that he spars without headgear risking a cut. I wouldn't think so. Okay. So having said that, this being his first live action, number one, and go back and watch it, he still carried that right low, which to me, if he'd even fought like this the whole time against that left, I'd have been like, dude, you don't have to do that. Just defend the left. And he didn't. He still had it down here. Now, I don't know if that's because they didn't work on it or if he knew he wasn't going to get close enough to Ramirez. He knew Ramirez didn't have the strength, didn't have the speed because he wasn't going to get close. But that fight, it said to me a lot. It really did. And here's also the thing, man, right? Saw this clip. There's a guy talking about athletes, and he was whatever have you. And he said, parents, sports parents, you raise two kind of kids. You either raise a sheep or a wolf. And a sheep, you got to watch at all times. You always have to be there for a sheep, right? You always have to be there for a sheep. A wolf is going to find other wolves. He's going to hunt. He's going to make sure he can get it done, whatever have you.
Yeah.
A sheep, when he'll have food in the house, but he's going to sit there and wait for somebody else to cook it. But a wolf, he'll go out and find something to eat. You know what I mean? And to me, because of the way that fight went down, I think honestly, they as in Bill Haney may have been raising Devin as a sheep. Because, and I say that because of this, okay. He hadn't fought a guy who had the left hook that Garcia had. Now, we didn't know Garcia was going to be on PEDs when they fought, but we knew he had a nice left hook. We knew that, right? We knew that. So Devin, and once he got hit, you didn't hear much from him. You didn't see him on social media talking. You saw Ryan and Bill going back at it. Devin was staying back in the cut. Now he's in a live fight, and he ran. And it was like, I want to say it was a terrible performance, and he was scared. He was gun shy. To me, I don't know what's going on in another man's heart and another man's head, but that's what it looked like to me. We may have to give him one more performance to truly tell. Now, here's the thing, Drew. Who wants to see him go against a big name after that performance? You know what I mean? But then again, if you give him another tune-up, because that's what Ramirez should have been. He was a 12-1 favorite. Yep. Ramirez a 12-1 dog. That's what it should have been. So if you're going to put him in there with another tune-up, so to speak, you know what I mean? Who wants to see that? You're going to have to put him first on the main card of another big fight. You know what I'm saying? So I want to see him fight again, because maybe this one, the first time, I needed to get my feet wet. I needed this. I needed that. I wasn't sure I was feeling. But the next one, if he's doing the same one or the next one, I'm not. I think mentally he's done. But as of right now, I'm 75-25. He's mentally done. Right now, 75-25.
Yeah, he I was going to say fought. He ran like a guy that did not want to get touched.
No.
And I mean, I get it, but it didn't help him. He didn't help himself at all. There's just more doubts than ever.
Okay. At what point did you pretty much write this fight off? You're like, what do you do? Seriously. Do you remember what round?
Yeah, probably after the 5th round. Because I get there's a feeling out process. The first couple rounds, I understand that. 3 and 4, I was like, okay, I'm waiting. And then after the 5th round, I'm like, what's the story? And, I mean, the announce team, I mean, like Lampley was all over that, and I believe Antonio Tarver was the color commentator. They were both saying it. It's like, yeah, he's not wanting to engage.
And that's what worried me. He didn't want to engage. And here's the thing. Just like we had talked about before, we have certain fighters, like the Shell, the Philly Roll, whatever have you, right? Or guys that just have great defense that can make you move, Tyson with the peekaboo, whatever have you. Ramirez doesn't have a lot of speed. No. So not that you wanted to fight in a phone booth with Ramirez, but Devin should have been able to fight in close quarters with him and duck, you know what I mean? But he didn't even give it an opportunity. So to me, I'm like, is he afraid of the left hook? Is he afraid of his own defense? Is he afraid of his chin? Is he afraid he won't see something? I don't know. But the only way to do it is to do it. You know what I mean? And I don't even know how much of this fight will help him for the next one, because you got to take that shot. In football, you're hurt. You don't feel good until you get that first contact, first. He didn't get that. He didn't get that. So I don't know, man. I just don't know. But I wasn't excited for it. And then also I would have loved to see if they are in a large arena, right? A huge coliseum, whatever have you. People start booing because they would have booed. They would have booed. What would that have done to Ramirez? What would that have done to Haney? Would they have started? I don't know, man. But
that's a
I don't know, man.
I haven't really read anybody bring that point up. That's a good point. Yeah, the crowd would have turned on him big time. After that fight, they would have.
Because think about it. This fight was VIPs there. Mm-hmm. They're going to carry themselves in a different way. Yeah. When you got Joey Pots and Pans sitting there, you know what I mean, and they're watching a fight, they're drinking a little bit. They're getting upset. They're getting ticked off. They paid for all this money, and now I'm sitting here watching guys pillow fight. That's not what you would have heard. You'd have definitely heard it. I'm just interested to see where does he go from here.
Well, that's a great segue, Chops, because we're going to the next fight here. And this was the real upset of the night, the end of the weekend, I would say. Rolly Romero defeated Ryan Garcia by a unanimous decision, and he put down King Rai in round number 2. And that's 3 fights now that King Rai has hit the canvas in round 2. Luke Campbell, Tank, and now Rolly Romero.
Yeah.
And it was really amazing. Like Sergio Mora was talking about talking about it beforehand, and he broke it down, and it was exactly the same left hook that he got caught with in each of the other fights, exactly the same, and it was really wild, and also you talked about Devin Haney, how that hand was down. Rolly Romero had that right hand up like this all night.
Yes.
And it paid off.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it paid off because he didn't get hit with it. But see, here's the thing. I give Rolly credit because he didn't sit back like Ramirez. He didn't sit back like Barboza and let the fight. And this, to me, we may disagree on this, but to me, this fight was about what Garcia did not do compared to what Rolly did do. You know what I'm saying? Because, and also, now here's the thing. Garcia looked significantly smaller than when he fought Haney.
You thought so.
Did I think Garcia looked smaller?
Well, I didn't think he looked smaller. I thought, the fact that they fought at a catch, it was at a 145 they fought at. Yeah. So he already was, kind of inflated to that size. So I didn't think he looked that much smaller than he did.
Okay, let's go back and look. Maybe he was just more muscular against Haney, right?
I think that's what it might have been.
But also, take the PDs out. Before he even fought Haney, we always knew he had an awesome left and he was quick.
Yeah.
I didn't see any of that. It was like somebody woke him up that day an hour before he needed to get in the ring, like, hey, you want to go fight? And he was just lackadaisical and lethargic. I didn't see from Haney nor Garcia, I did not see the urgency for them to. Teofimo was the only one who looked like, I need to take advantage of this moment. He didn't put himself in harm's way to do it, but he was active. He looked like he wanted to engage. So to me, Garcia, he wasn't getting the jab off. He wasn't doing anything to try to win the fight. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be honest with you. I wasn't a huge Rolly fan, and I can't say that I still am. I respect him, but I can't say. But I do like the way he handled this because he's been real. People saw Ryan crying, they clowned him, this, that, whatever. Rolly was like, he cried because he's a man. He's a human being. So Rolly gave my respect on this aspect because of the way he is. But as for Garcia, you saw Devin lose. You had bragging rights. You could have set something up between you and Teo. You could, with a nice performance, you could have called out Ennis. Come on. If he'd come out and look spectacular, and then he calls out Boots, I think a Garcia in a Boots fight would draw more interest than a. But I don't know. Boots? I would think Boots and Garcia would draw more interest than
Teo.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Teo. Yeah. But it was there. It was there for the taking. In both Haney, I can sort of understand why you gave away. He was still gunshot. He was still scared. I don't care. I hate to say that word about a grown man, but he was scared. But Garcia, you saw he lost. A 12-1 favorite. You saw you had everything there for the taking, and you blew it. You just blew it, man.
There's major maturity issues there. We know that. I mean, go scroll through King Rye's Twitter account or X account, and you see it. And we saw basically a guy disrespecting the sport and acting like a fool, drinking a beer while he's getting weighed in against Haney last year, right? And got caught on PEDs. This year he's wearing suits and he's all calm and got a great demeanor. Well, it didn't translate.
Not at all. Not at all. And you know what, man? And I said it before. I said it in our last podcast. I hate the fact that these guys knew Garcia knew Haney, Haney knew Garcia was my next fight if we get this win. And as much as Garcia and Haney, his dad, kept arguing back and forth, you're not even fighting right now. Why are you talking to him? That has not. And it looked like neither of those guys had their head in the game where it should have been. And it was just, this was a depressing card. It really was. And here's the crazy part. I think I read that Haney made $4 million, which you're like, $4 million isn't bad. It's not a bad payday for the performance he came off of his last fight against Garcia.
True.
But you would like to think his name would draw more in this with the, you. I thought it would have been more. If you'd have told me 7 to 8, I'd have believed it. But he only got 4. So Turk didn't go into the poorhouse paying out. Now, I don't know the other pocketbooks, you know what I mean, and purses what guys made. But it's almost interesting to me to see if Turk, Dana didn't call anybody out. But Dana's been known, if you have a lackluster fight, he'll call you out and let it be known to the media you stink. But he doesn't have press conferences after boxing matches yet because it's not his league like he does after UFC. But Garcia, you had it, and that knockdown. I was like, well, okay, you get knocked down. We've seen fighters get knocked down. Got to get up, got to perform, got to do what you got to do. He didn't do that. He didn't, and it was like he didn't want. It was like he didn't want to be there. I don't know, man. I just don't know. I don't know. That to me, this entire card was very not. I don't know if there were maybe on the undercard was there a knockout or two, but nobody got fight of the night. I don't think anybody even got the fight of the night bonus because nothing was considered fight of the night. It was terrible. It was a terrible card. And you can't even go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't good at all. It wasn't good. And but it looks like Haney and Garcia are still going to go in September.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So here's my thing. You can't blame Turk on this. Only thing I blame Turk was the venue and how it went down, right? And to be honest with you, I would have liked to have thought if it had rained, what were they going to do as a backup plan? But more important than that, once you knew you couldn't have a jumbo screen and you had to have the tarps up, you should have taken it inside anyway. You really should have taken it inside. And that's my opinion. But having said that, that's the only thing I blame Turk for. The venue and the setup could have been better. But he put a card together that everyone wanted to see. Oh, yeah. Everyone wanted to see. The fighters didn't perform. So I don't blame Turk on that aspect. That is on the fighters.
I totally agree with you on the card. It was a major disappointment. Theo Lopez definitely he stepped up. Theo Lopez did that. Garcia, don't know where his head's at. Haney, he ran to victory, right? I mean, he did. So disappointment, no doubt. Now let's talk about Saturday. We go to Saudi Arabia. We're hoping we get a little better, and I think we did overall. Let's first talk about Martin Bakole and Efe Ajagba. Majority draw in 12 rounds. I had Ajagba winning 96-94. I have MD 12 up there. It's my apologies. It was a 10-round fight. It was a 10-round majority draw. I had Ajagba winning 96-94. And the reason why is I actually had him winning for the first 5 rounds. Now, Bakole definitely stepped his game up in the second half and damn near got him. Yeah. But to Ajagba's credit, he definitely fought hard. And I had him winning the 9th round. That was the difference in the fight because Bakole, I thought, won the 10th. But, 2 of the judges had it a draw. One of the judges had it like I did, 96-94 for Ajagba. Pretty good fight, in my view. What were your thoughts?
It was a decent fight. That's the best I'm going to give it, a decent fight, right? And you're right. I also had Ajagba winning. It's not a huge miscarriage of justice where we've seen, what I'm saying? It's not a huge miscarriage of justice where people are throwing bottles. You know what I mean? It was razor thin, could have went either way. But I do believe Ajagba won. Here's what stuck out to me. 2 things. One, your boy weighed in at 299. That's big for that. That's big. That's heavy. That's heavy.
I'm glad you brought that up. That was 14 pounds more than when he fought Big Baby last year.
Yes. And
it was only 15 or 14 pounds less than what he weighed on short notice a couple months ago.
Yes.
And he got dropped to Parker.
Did you see the interview where he said he had to lose 10 pounds or kilo, whatever, in the last week or something, which means you weren't even in shape. He wasn't in shape at all, and he had to lose extra weight, right? 10 kilos. So now, having said that, that's one thing that stuck out. Now, you figure, what was that? February 20? No, when did he fight Parker? Was that the 20? That wasn't the 22nd card. Was that the 22nd card?
It was, yeah.
Okay, so he fights Parker, comes back, and the way he lost, devastating knockout, couldn't get up. I understand he came an hour. I mean, basically, he got notification the day before the fight, had to travel, this, that, and the third. So no way was he ready. Okay, got it. But when you get knocked out, you're supposed to sit out for so long. You can't go back into sparring. You can't, whatever have you. Now, so having said that, so he has to take, let's say he takes a good 30 days, 20 to 30 days before he starts his camp, right? Now, that puts him mid-March. That's a short camp.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a short camp. That is, to me, I think it's a short camp, especially when you come in that heavy. I don't think it was aggressive, but Turk said he'd give you that card. You showed up. He promised, so you stayed and you delivered. And the fact that regardless of what we think, if Ajagba won, he didn't win. He wasn't convincing in it. He wasn't convincing. And everything would have been in Ajagba's favor, and he still couldn't take guys overweight, guys coming off a short camp, guys coming off a knockout, and Ajagba still couldn't take advantage of it. So I don't have an issue with the score, but I did have Ajagba winning.
Yeah, me too, because, when it's that close, there were rounds that were very tight, could have went either way. Bakole has the name recognition, to be honest with you. He's got that name recognition. People know who he is. Yeah. So I get that. I just scored this straight up. I basically took the names off events, and I just want to see what's going to happen. And that's just how I saw it too, 96, 94. So if they run it back, that's cool.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be a heavyweight eliminator. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. What 4 or 5 heavyweights, let's go even number, 4 or 6 heavyweights, do you want to see in an eliminator? And if that be the case, you got the 2, Dubois and Usyk, right? That's because Dubois looks a lot better. Usyk has undisputed. Your boy was doing well against Usyk in their first fight, so it's going to be a rematch, so that's all good. Yeah. But once you get past those guys, you can mix anybody else in there. Yes, you can put Fury in there as well and whatever. But even if he's fighting Zhang, yes, he's got a great jab, but Zhang's a big dude too and can reach. So you never know if he tries to push the issue. Joseph Parker is strong. Hrgovic. So there's nobody that's like, okay, you're in an eliminator, but not because you guys are the top 6, not because you're the kings.
By default.
You know what I mean? Like we had the 4 kings. They're not like that. You're not like you guys are all here. It's like you got the 2, then everybody else fall in where you fall in.
Yeah, and
so I didn't even look at this as
about some of these guys still, even after the losses they've taken, and they're still like kind of the cream of the crop.
Okay, so prime example. Mm-hmm. Take as much time as you want. You can text me tomorrow. We got our text or whatever have you. So Ajagba lost. Does this do anything? Nothing. Nothing at all. Nothing. You know what I'm saying? Now, Barboza lost. Barboza's not going to be in line for another big name. He's not, you know what I'm saying? So there are guys that lose and you lose something. There are other guys that are going to step up at 135, 140, whatever at 130. That's not happening in the heavyweight division. So Ajagba lost. You got paid and you lost nothing. You didn't. It's not like you fell out of the top 10 and I'm going to need another good fight or 2 before I can get back in the mix. No, because everybody is pretty much on an even level playing field once you get past 1 and 2, in my opinion. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah.
So let's talk about the next fight, and that was the rematch, Jaime Munguia against Bruno Surace. And this was a pretty good fight, I thought. Ultimately, Munguia wins by decision pretty handily. But at the start of the fight, Chops, like the first 3 rounds, I actually had Surace up 2-1. I thought he fought pretty hard. After the first 4, I had it even, and it was a dead even fight in my view. But then Munguia started to pull away. But
yeah,
did you know? You had to notice because certain announcers weren't going to let you forget it. Munguia fought very different than what we're used to. Talk about that.
Well, I think he respected Surace. Mm-hmm. He still was the victor. Pretty easy win for me. What have you. But I was impressed by Munguia because he was more tentative, but he was still firing off. You know what I mean? But he knew if I get hit, because he didn't get knocked out by Canelo. You know what I mean? So, but Surace laid him out. And he knew any punch can take you out. So I think he was respectful of that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But he still wanted to be his aggressive self. I liked it because a lot of times people don't respond. We saw Haney didn't respond. He came off a brutal knockout. Same guy. Let's run it back. And he did what he needed to do. So that was my thing from it.
Yeah, wolf, sheep, like you said.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, we got a wolf in Munguia. And I'll tell you what, Surace, even though I thought he lost pretty in lopsided fashion, he's an impressive fighter. He throws hard. He's a really good counter puncher. And I think Munguia did a really nice job of not, after the third round, not letting himself get countered like he was early on, because that's what was happening. He was getting countered early on, and he adjusted. To his credit, I mean,
yes,
you got a guy like Munguia who's just a buzzsaw when he gets in a ring. He's going to throw, and then this fight, it was like he changed his style and he fought effectively. I was impressed by that. I like when I see a fighter being able to reinvent themselves, kind of.
Well, I think he knew Canelo had power.
Yeah.
So he was exchanging with Canelo, and he not as much as I thought he would, but he was worried about that power. So he turtled up, lost unanimous decision, but didn't get knocked out. I don't think he respected Surace's power the first time. I don't think he did. And once he was counting lights, whoa, this is not how I planned it to go. So he had to turn around and reinvent himself and respect this cat and do what he did. So now this is Surace only his second fight outside of France. So you know what I mean? So I was impressed with what Munguia did on the aspect of coming back, and I respected his camp made sure he respected this man's power. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And Surace, I mean, he's not going to get a title shot next, but I think Bruno Surace, in his next fight, if he can win, he could be lined up again, because he looked, I mean, overall, he's a good looking fighter. He's better than
he is. He really is.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about what the main event. Saul Canelo Alvarez. He defeated William Scull in a UD12. And Chops, I stopped scoring this after round 4.
You and me both. And I probably didn't even go. The way Scull came out now, here's the thing. Scull came out and he tried, I don't want to say he ran like Haney. However, did you see his shoes? They look like almost track shoes. He wasn't even wearing like boxes. So that lets you know my man did not plan on being where he didn't want to be nowhere in front of Canelo, which, hey, we've seen guys win, right? By doing that. You retreat, pop here, pop there, get in, get out. We've seen fighters do it, but that just wasn't him. And it went the way we expected it to go. What was Canelo? Minus 3,000 favorite or something like that? Yeah. So
ridiculous. Very, very boring fight. Very disappointing. I get what, like I said, I agree. I get what Scull is trying to do. You want to stay on the outside, stick and move, whatever. But I mean, he was throwing prayer jabs that maybe he might connect. I mean, he was like he was trying to look busy, but he wasn't accomplishing anything.
Exactly. And he didn't want to be there, man. When, like I said, and it was what we expected. But here's the thing. He was a tune-up. He was a sacrificial lamb for the Crawford fight. And we knew it. And you knew it. And then you was in Scull. You knew that's why you were there. You could have made it a little bit more entertaining if you're trying to collect this check. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and by anything, you could have even got knocked out by a body shot, because Canelo digs the body, even if you'd have tried to engage with him. Because that way, Scull, you didn't have the power to hurt or knock Canelo out retreating. You had to stay. You had to stand all 10 toes firm and exchange for it, and it just wasn't, man. So that to me, it was a terrible. It was. I wasn't excited, man. I wasn't. And then what happened? It happened the way we expected it.
I was hopeful, but yeah, it was the way we expected it. But next up now in September, we got Canelo and Bud Crawford. They were face to face in the ring after that. That's going to be a great fight. There will be no running. There will be hiding. They're going to fight. Now, I'm not saying they're going to go, Hagler Hearns on us here, but there won't be a long feeling out process in that fight. That's going to be a good one.
No, and here's the thing. Canelo is who he is. He's never hard to find. He fights the way he fights. So that to me is normally Bud takes a couple rounds, put all your he's okay, checked off. Now I put it together. Now I'm fitting to go to work on you.
Yep.
Canelo's the same in every fight. The only thing he's going to have to worry about Canelo is that power. And having said that, how many rounds will it take Bud? Because Bud will start slow that first round or two, maybe three, as he's taking all that data. Will he have to do that against Canelo? You know what I'm saying? Because Canelo's the same way. He's going to stand in front of you and bang. We'll see. I'm interested.
He better be careful, because if you give away 3 rounds to Canelo, go ask Triple G how that works out. Not that Triple G did that. He certainly didn't do that. But Canelo, you might as well give him 6 rounds right off the hop.
Yes, exactly. So, but here's the thing. You know what I say? People born round don't die square. If he's used to giving up those rounds, because now, and it'd be different if this was another 147 or another 154. He's jumping up so much. I don't know if he'll be able to, like you said, don't want to give away those rounds, but Canelo is who he is. So you might not need to give away that much time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm interested to see, man. We'll see.
Yeah, it will be interesting for sure. Now let's talk about the Sunday night contest.
Woo!
Monster came to the U.S. The Monster came to Vegas, and he took on Ramon Cardenas and Chops. I know you were watching you had taped this. So you were on the undercard still when I was watching live, and I texted you during the 3rd round of this fight, and I'm like, you've got to watch this fight.
Yes.
And I'm thinking in my head already, this is possible fight of the year candidate right here, because it looked like Cardenas was going to take him, because he put the Monster down in round 2, just like in his last fight, took the same shot. That's what I was I mentioned that was about Garcia, but it was Moro who talked about Inoue. He got hit the same way, exact same shot, the left hook on a counter, because Inoue was dropping his right hand.
Yes.
So round 3, Cardenas was very aggressive. It looked like he was going to turn it. And all of a sudden, round 4, the Monster stepped up a little bit. Round 5, he started taking charge. Round 6, I actually gave Inoue a 10-8 round in that round. I thought he just was.
He punished him. He punished him.
He punished
him. And it was crazy, man, because he was the complete antithesis of what Haney was. And when I say he, as in Inoue, and we know the Monster, he comes straight forward. Talking about the left hook. He got dropped on that left hook in the 2nd round.
Yeah.
Never got clipped with it again. Made the adjustments. Like that, he made the adjustments.
Yeah.
Where Haney, an entire year or so, couldn't make adjustments. He didn't get any better. He, like we talked about, didn't hold his hand up. So that to me was impressive. And I don't know what was more impressive. And you and I had spoken about this earlier. The fact that the fact that Inoue switched up and made the in-game adjustments, and you only have a minute between rounds.
Yeah.
The fact that he he switched up and never gave up and got hit with that shot again, or how he was just barely moving to make Cardenas miss. That was impressive, because Cardenas was throwing heavy leather. He was throwing heavy leather. And for a while there, he was giving as good as he got. And what, I don't know if you noticed it, but I did. And I recorded, and I still haven't deleted it yet.
Mm-hmm.
The first 2 rounds, until we got dropped, your boy Inoue was just in there throwing. He was slinging, throwing. I'm the monster. I dictate. Once he got dropped, he still was himself as he made his adjustments, but he didn't come in with such reckless abandon. And he had his hands up. Mm-hmm. You know, what do you think?
Well, I agree, but also Cardenas was getting him to the body real good.
Yeah.
He was landing. He was getting him on what we call it, like a shuttle hook, right in the rib cage, right behind, almost in the borderline rabbit punch.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, you could just see him. He hit him a lot there, but Inoue's credit, he's a tough dude.
Ooh. And a couple times, Inoue showed it hurt.
Oh yeah,
a couple times he showed it hurt, but he kept going forward, man. And that to me was, and Cardenas, even in that loss, he gained some fans. Some fans. Yeah. That was a performance that he walked away feeling pretty good about. Hates the outcome, but that was just where there are levels to this, right? His corner, and you saw Inoue at the end of rounds dap him up, because he knew he was given, as in Cardenas was given, as good as he was getting. You know what I mean? And that to me, and I know I don't know if you saw 4th and 5th round somewhere. Teo was there. And he saw how the crowd was getting hyped. He knew he didn't have that at his fight. He knew that wasn't there. But I'm so glad the way the monster fought that fight, and that fight was worth the price of admission. And the fact that in the undercard, and I'm looking at it now, the 6'1" lightweight, I can't think of his name. It's killing me. That undercard was impressive. Mm-hmm. The undercard fight was impressive. And that fight saved the weekend for boxing. And what really helped, it was on ESPN. Because had it been pay-per-view, I don't think people would have bought it. Because what the first 2 fights were like, Friday and Saturday. But the fact that Joker was on ESPN, I think that helped leaps and bounds.
It did, and it absolutely did. It saved the weekend, and no question. Here's my question to you, though. The monster. Now, I want to see him fight Tank. Tank says no one's out there with the name enough. Well, we got one.
Yes.
And he's 10 pounds lighter than you. Sign on the dotted line, brother. Let's
go. What weight class? You got to believe that Inoue could go up to 130. He could probably go up to 130 without issue. He's at 122, but he probably could go up to 130 with no issue. Now the question is, how would he fight? But I'm going to tell you what, on it flat out. I need to see the Tank beat Davis. I need to see Tank beat. Listen to me. If you take the names off of that fight, Tank wins or Tank loses that fight. Davis will. That's a knockdown. You can't take a knee against Roach.
Oh, yeah, against Roach, yeah.
I need to see him. I need to see Tank beat Roach before I need to see that. And again, you take those names off. You took a knee, bro. You took a knee. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So before he gets Inoue, and my thing is, if Inoue goes to 130, there's a lot of fights there I'd like to see, brother. That's it before he gets to 135. There's some fights at 130 that would look good. You know what I mean? I'd like to see him and Pitbull go because Pitbull needs to come back down. Pitbull is too small for 140. He's too short.
Now, Inoue said he didn't want to go above, I think, bantamweight, right? So that's like 128.
126, I thought.
26, yeah. But I mean,
because that's why Stephen Fulton left. He couldn't make 122, so he went to 126. Yeah, but if he runs through 126, he's gonna have to move to one. What is Inoue though? Wasn't he like 31, 32? He may not have many more be able to. But do you know if he's having a hard time making 122?
Not that I've seen, not that I've heard. Nothing. I've not heard anything. He's 30.
Okay, he's 32. He just turned 32, so he's still got few years. He's still got some good years in him.
Absolutely. We're going to
talk to him at 130, 135. I'm not going to lie to you. I'd like to see that, boy.
Well, we're going to talk about at least one guy here that could accommodate him at 130. We're going to talk about the fight coming up here on Saturday in San Diego, and that is Emanuel Navarette against Charley Suarez for the WBO Junior Lightweight Championship. You know, Navarette 39-2-1 with 32 KOs. Suarez 18-0 perfect record with 10 KOs. Chops Navarette has the reach advantage, slight height advantage, but as you can see in the picture, they're pretty close in height. But he's got a significant reach advantage here. But Navarette, we know what he's about. But let's talk about this. Your thoughts on this fight?
He is, and it has slipped my mind, and I lost my notes. But it was Baranchek, and there was another couple other fighters that were boxers that have given Navarette problems.
Yeah, Baranchek in a split decision. Yep.
Yeah, and even though he doesn't have the power, his name's not known like Navarette. He's older though. He's 36.
He's 36. Yep.
Okay. He's 36. So he has experience. Not against, not the experience that Navarette has, because he hasn't had many fights, but he's older, he's more mature. I don't think the moment will be too big for him. And if he can stay, Suarez can stay with inside himself, box, pop his jab, do what he needs to do, because he's going to have to be in timing because he has the shorter reach. And Navarette he's not going to be hard to hit. He's going to be easy to find. Navarrette's coming forward. Right. So I'm interested to see that fight. But more importantly, rather than just seeing Navarette come in and beat a bully and whatever have you, Vaccaro the Cowboy, I want to see how Suarez handles himself. That's what I want to see.
Very curious to see that. I'm gonna watch some more tape before the fight, just to kind of get a feel for it. But Suarez definitely, he's a good fighter. He's a very good fighter. I didn't see anybody on his resume of note.
True. That's true. That's true.
At the end of the day, but I believe he fought Loma in the amateurs, or at least before the Olympics. So it might have been in amateurs. And
there was Lomo and somebody else he had fought in. But to me, if it's more than 3 years, you could be a significantly different fighter.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean, and learn more. You know what I mean, learn more. Mm-hmm. So now here's the thing, man, with Suarez. And all these guys. See, again, I hate to be that old dinosaur, that old curmudgeon, but when I go back to looking in the early 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, when we like really started loving boxing, whatever have you, I don't remember seeing guys. Tyson, when he lost to Buster Douglas, but remember, Tyson got knocked down in training in that camp before he fought Buster Douglas. They said he wasn't taking him serious. He came in heavier. Tyson wasn't himself.
No.
But for the most part, you didn't see guys back then. I can't remember. Maybe because I was younger and I didn't study it like I do now. But the way Garcia came in, just off his game, the way Haney came in, just running, you didn't see that a lot from guys. Guys were who they were. You knew what you were getting from Sugar Ray. You knew what you were getting from Hagler. You knew what you're getting from Benitez. You knew what you were going to get from Lennox Lewis, whatever have you. Now, guys got clipped at certain times, but they were getting off. They were even like when Michael Moore got clipped against Foreman. Yeah. Michael Moore was getting off. He just stood there too long, and Atlas tried to tell him, don't do that. Yeah. And he got clipped, but he was still getting it off, right? So having said that, we see this now where guys are like, well, tonight just wasn't my night. I couldn't get off. I couldn't do this. That's why you spend all that time in a training camp, to get off. Your corner's telling you to get off, do this, whatever have you. I start seeing a lot of fighters now that aren't following what their corner's telling them. But again, as we talked about it with Conor Benn and Eubanks, the trainers need to be at that level too. And a lot of trainers aren't giving proper advice that, like I said, the Eddie Futch, the Duvas, the Emmanuel Stewarts, they're gone. Kevin Rooney's, they're gone. You know what I'm saying? You got Freddie Roach, but he's getting up there in age. You don't have any trainers like that anymore.
Chops, I think you make a good point, because it's funny, every generation, right? We're getting to be, we got the boomers, our Gen X, and everyone else. And, but here's the thing. In school, we had to walk down the 8th grade hallway in 6th grade. And sometimes that wasn't a fun experience.
Exactly.
But because I'd rather learn that lesson as a 13, 14-year-old than as a 24, 25-year-old, because the real world don't give a shit.
Exactly. Not one.
We're raising our kids with good intention. We don't want them to go through that, but guess what? That's what builds character. That's what toughens you up. And we're talking about pro boxers, Drew. You're full of shit. Well, no, but here's the thing: they don't know how to handle adversity. You can be tough as nails, but you can't handle adversity. Like you brought up Ivan Drago one of our shows, right? He's caught. You freaked him out. He'd never been hurt.
Exactly. And we've seen it, man, where now guys are worried about protecting that O. Guys are worried about the brand. Yeah. You don't hear guys say it now. To beat a man, you got to beat the man. Well, they lived that back then. I want him. You say you're the baddest in the room. I say I'm the baddest in the room. We both can't be right. Let's meet at the center dance floor and let's see what's what. Yeah. Guys don't do that. And now it's like, I want that smoke. And you get in a Twitter war. If you really want to bang, send the guy a contract. Let's figure it out. And if you're two top names like that, okay, say I do think Drew, you and I are going to fight. And I think I'm the bigger name. And I say it should be 70-30. You're like, no. I'd be like, all right, let's do this. I'll go 50-50 with you on this. However, I want more in the back on the gates, whatever it may be. What I'm saying is, if guys truly wanted to get it done, they'd figure out how to make this work.
I'd have the hydration clause, Chops, and I got to have that at least.
I got, part
of it.
guys that those Twitter wars. Now you got dads beefing. Whether it was, think about this, man. Whether it was Haney, whether it was who's other Fury's dad gets in it. You didn't see that back then. Hell, remember Mayweather Sr. trained De La Hoya to fight his son.
That's old school. That's old school.
Yeah, that's diabolical. That's diabolical. Yeah, man. But like, so that bothers me with these guys. I want that smoke, this, that, and whatever. But it's just different, man. And when you see guys so worried about changing and keeping that O, and again, you and I bang heads on this, but I think it did. It started with Mayweather when he was like, to me, I like said he ducked some guys. You know what I mean? He still ended with that 50-0, but I feel he ducked some guys. But guys now, but also, even if I'm not a Mayweather fan, if you want to say he earned that right, okay, so be it. He earned it. Some of these guys ain't earned that. No. They ain't earned that. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. It's society we live in. They're paying big money to see Jake Paul fight guys that aren't fighters. They're not even fighters.
There you go.
See, back then, when you had guys that were doing it, you had the great promoters, and they were making sure the best guys get in the ring. Fans weren't falling for that BS. They weren't falling for that. You know, they really were. You used to have celebrity boxing matches. Oh, I want to see guy from Different Strokes beat up the guy from Growing Pains. That was about it, but nobody took it serious. Nobody took it serious. You know what I mean? Now they're taking this Jake Paul serious, and then Jake Paul says, "I want to be champ one day." How are you going to be champ when you haven't fought anybody in your weight class and you haven't fought a top 15, a top 20 opponent in any weight class, in any boxing weight class? It bothers me.
Ted DiBiase made his own belt when he couldn't get the shot he wanted.
Yes.
Jake Paul, go buy yourself a belt.
Yes.
Oh, they sell them on eBay. I've got 5 of them sitting here. I've got a WBC, WB, all of them. You can have a mini belt. You can have one of those.
Yes.
You're a champion.
It's just different now, man, and it's hard for guys like me. I can't even put you in there because I don't know how you feel, but it's hard for me. But I realize I'm a dinosaur in a lot of things. I realize that, and I like so in all sports now we're changing so there's more offense. Nobody likes defense. Defense takes effort. Defense takes commitment.
It's not.
It's not. But defense has always taken work. It's taken effort. It's taken commitment. Guys don't want to do that anymore. They don't want to do that anymore, man. So I don't know, man. It's just different for me. And that it was hard. This entire card to me was lackluster because hell, even if I'd have seen wars for the first 2 rounds and everybody got knocked out in the 3rd round, it'd have been worth it. It would have. Imagine if every fight, all 3 of those fights had been Hagler-Hearns. They all ended early, but it'd have been worth it.
It would have went down in history.
Yes,
greatest weekend ever.
Yes, and to me, even the ref had told Cardenas, "I'm giving you one more round." No, his corner told him that. "I'm giving you one more round. I'm giving you one more round." So when does it finish? 7th, 8th, whatever it was.
Yep.
That was a great fight the whole way through.
Yep.
The whole way through.
You brought it up. Jay Nagy, I believe, was the referee. I thought he did a really good job because he could have stopped that fight in the 6th round. He didn't. He let them fight.
Yeah.
You know, and
Cardenas had earned that. Because he was clipping him, and that that hook was barely missing. I don't want to take it from you. So I'm glad his corner, and he probably the official, the ref, probably knew that his corner said, "I'm going to give you one more round," because Inoue was all over him. Inoue was all over him. But even when he was all over him in the earlier rounds in that corner, boom, he was throwing one hook or something and getting Inoue up off of him. You know what I mean? So it was a great fight. It really. And I'm drawing a blank here on the first card with the 6-1 lightweight. That entire card, what they showed on ESPN saved boxing for this weekend. It saved it.
No question about it.
It saved it.
You know,
in my opinion, it did.
I would agree. Because this would have been a disaster.
Woo.
This would have been a total disaster. As it is, the Inoue Cardenas fight was a great fight, and the Munguia Surace fight was solid. And Teofimo did put on at least a very good performance for himself. But
you're right. Teo did. Okay.
And I don't like him either. I do not like Lopez.
No. On the scale, yeah. I mean, I'll give you credit because you say you don't like him, but you'll give him his props where you see do. Okay. You also do that with Garcia. You'll give him his props when his left hook, whatever have you. Okay. Now, scale from 1 to 10. Teofimo, the overall fight, I'm going to give it a 6. His performance may have been an 8 or a 9 because he was doing what he needed to do. But Barboza gave nothing back, so I'm giving it a 6. Haney, Ramirez, that was a 4. You told me 3.5, I'd go there, 3. Whatever, right? Scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the best.
You grading on a curve?
I know. Right. It was terrible. Now, Rolly and I'll give that a 4.4, maybe a 5, somewhere there. Now, because of the way he handled it, as in Munguia, I give that a 6.5, 7, because he was coming off a loss. He made the necessary adjustments, and he brought it.
Yep.
Scull in Canelo, 5, 6. It wasn't much because he ran.
2.
Okay. All right. He ran with his tracksuits on. And again, but that entire car, the Inoue, Cardenas, dude, only reason I'm not giving it a 10 because it didn't go to distance. Because if I'd have won 12 with that, it'd have been perfect.
Oh my God.
But that fight was a solid 9.2. But the entire card with the 2 fights they showed on ESPN, the way they both brought it, man, that fight was that stayed boxing. And it was on ESPN, so everybody could see it. It was great. That saved it. That saved it.
It was a very intelligent move to put that on Sunday. They really didn't have anything going against them. In April, I mean, there was some playoff basketball and hockey, but Yeah.
But now here's the thing, though. Monday was Cinco de Mayo.
Mm-hmm.
So normally it was always some big Mexican fight, whatever have you.
Yeah.
And on paper, if they'd have wanted to, I could have totally understood and seen why they would have put Fatal Fury, Lopez, Haney, and Garcia. I could have understood why they'd have put that fight on Sunday if they'd have done it that way, because you would have think, let all these other ones go, and then let's make it. Or if you'd have thought even Canelo could have been the anchor leg because he's Canelo.
Yeah.
But it just worked out for boxing that Inoue and on ESPN too. Oh, that's beautiful. That was beautiful, man. That was
yes,
beautiful.
It was.
Yeah,
so,
I'm glad.
So, folks, don't forget, check out that Navarette Suarez fight this Saturday on May 10th in San Diego. That's on ESPN. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Don't forget to hit the like button on the channel. Don't forget the like button on the videos. You like more content? Hey, we're putting out stuff every week. For Chops, I'm Drew. Take care, everybody. We're talking combat sports every week. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you for watching the Haymakers and Submissions podcast. You can find us on the ESEN network on the Roku app every Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time beginning on October 4th, 2024. Check us out on Twitter X. Our handle is @HeySubPod, capital H, capital S, capital P. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single episode. Just go to your web browser and type in www.youtube.com/@Haymakers and Submissions podcast, as we will drop content weekly. Whether it's boxing, MMA, or wrestling that gets you fired up, you'll get all you need right here at the Haymakers and Submissions podcast.